Hi everyone, it's Sarah here from Sarah No Support Workers. Tonight I've got Traidy. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you. If you do hear any peddling or noise, it's my two little toy poodles in the background doing their thing because this is their home and I so happen to rent with them.
I'm okay to see them. If you if you want to get my heartstrings, if they turn up on this podcast, I'll explain it to the audience that are listening to it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I will show and tell you what's going on in their world if I can at any stage.
wherever possible. So, you ready? Let's get cracking into it.
Thank you.
Okay, so you are the CEO, or is it you a founder, director of Chosen Family?
A little bit of everything. I was actually the first support worker in the organization, but I am the founder of the organization. So Chosen Family was birthed, about 4 or 5 years ago. Yes. So my pride and joy was support work. I was actually my original occupation was being a solicitor, and I felt it's time to redeem my soul. Before that, I was a minister and an evangelist and pastor, and then kind of went into community services, did a little bit of a tour, but NDIS and support work was the main passion that I fell into, and then Chosen Family was kind of birthed from that.
I'm guessing you've had a couple of different careers because I'm nosy, yeah? Is this the career that has so far given you the most enjoyment?
Yes, this is my ministry. This is my calling. This is what I was called to do, which is to irritate and annoy empire and usual systems and affect change and innovation. So that is what I'm doing, even though it's through support work. You can do that.
Yeah. Did you, as a kid, grow up with people with disabilities? Like, how did you get pulled into this?
I would say my main exposure was actually in Australia. So I have an amazing friend called Angela, who was an occupational therapist and was very involved and instrumental in Higher Up, the platform that we now know as Higher Up. Anyway, one day she was working for another organization and she couldn't attend her shift. She called me up because I so happened to live in the same street. This is back in the day, way before NDIS worker checks and stuff like that. It was very easy to get into support work at that stage. And she said she had a client that really needed to get to work and they needed some assistance and cooking, cleaning. As an ethnic individual, that is what we do: community food preparation, assisting someone. So I thought that would be a really cool thing to do and help someone out with. So I popped on over to, I didn't know back then, it was called group homes. I was in this home assisting this client. The client had an escalation through a chair and was about to throw a table. And somehow I had cooked them an amazing breakfast, which had helped us all de-escalate and come to baseline. And I managed to get them back on their bus, get them clothed, showered, etc. for work. And little did I know, I went back to go clean the actual place and found out that there was another client in a room there, and the team leader was at the back of the property and had been watching and heard all of this. And I was offered a job straight away, and then recommended to a day program in Parramatta, now known as Breakthrough.
Wow. Okay. Yep.
Fun. Wild introduction, lovely introduction. I'd like to say that my introduction to support work was through someone's stomach and cooking them a good meal.
That's not the normal way that support workers get into our sector. So you had your baptism of fire,
Hey,
and
yes.
is this why being a lawyer?
Oh, so why being a lawyer? So advocacy runs very deep and strong in my family. So they're in South Africa. I hail from South Africa. If you can hear the accent, to my South Africans, Uganet and how's it? And so, yeah, so advocacy has always been a big part of what I've done, but I was always doing a lot of community work in South Africa as well. And that's kind of how I fell into work with church and community. Those two things were synonymous to me. But a lot of my work was more practical and more, in community when it came to nursing and anti-bullying and HIV training and those types of things. And I was advocating for stuff within the church or the church system itself to open itself a little bit more, to be a bit more inclusive and to probably be a bit more up to date with human rights. And then I decided to study law. And from law, I kind of wanted to go into counseling and therapy, but was sidelined by this beautiful thing called support work.
It's like you've done like a whole circle.
Full circle, yeah. It's
Yeah,
been
it's kind of like the career you didn't pick, but you kind of fell into, and it's kind of cool that you've had a team leader that sourced you out just by watching. from a
Yeah, and
distance.
my friend as well, like, shout out to Angela for being like, "Hey, I can't make my shift. I'm gonna tell my team leader that there's somebody else that could." And even despite, not knowing the intricacies of the
Yeah,
sector, not having formal education, I just wanna say shout out to leaders who can see qualities within an individual who may not come from that specific field or area, but may be able to translate some of those skills into our sector, into the care sector. So that was really cool. And the way that my friend also personality matched me, because, yeah, I'm quite loud and my ADHD itself was off the roof and off the charts that day. So I was barely had my coffee in as well. So I really understood at that stage when that client, was having their moment, they were quite unhappy or upset.
yeah,
Someone new's turning up to their home that they don't know. I've got an accent, all these considerations I had played in my own mind. So I had enough grace to know, oh, this is going to be an interesting interaction. Meeting anyone that you don't know, like going on a blind
yeah,
date, those things. I can only imagine with support, which is very
yeah,
intimate, and going into someone's home on the first date, in essence,
yeah.
yeah, ATAGs would be complex and might not go the way I perceive it should go.
No training as well. But we're in 2026 and things are different, right?
Also different, but I would say this one
Different
thing.
back then. It was like and it was different. And to be fair, like, I have hired all different people to be support workers and all different walks of life, and some of the best ones I've had would have to definitely be the ones that have had a career pivot.
Yes.
And they didn't like it was like they came to the sector in their late 50s and they were brilliant. Like, I couldn't knock them. They were some of the best support workers I've had. So, yeah, I'm all for it. Learning on your feet.
Yes. I think also we have to attribute coming from a different country.
Mm.
Your ethnicity can also play into it. Sometimes you're parentified or you're playing a caring role, and you might not be aware that that is something that you could do in another country like Australia. So we're so blessed. Most of our care staff in aged care and NDIS are ethnic individuals coming from other countries. So our hats off, obviously, to them. But it's just so natural for a lot of us. We're caring for grandparents or we have siblings who have disability, and there is no scheme like in NDIS that assists us. So we're naturally, organically doing this. And then when we come here, we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I get paid to make someone feel good and safe and create a beautiful, fun environment for them. So what a blessing, I would say, overall.
You're right, because it's also different family units. I found a few people that would they're so used to mum and dad living with them, having their kids, and, like, it was generational, and it was just a part of it. It wasn't any different. I remember assisting people into the scheme that had lived, from different cultures, had lived that life, and they're like, "What do you mean? I now have funding? What? Huh?" Like, because it was their norm.
It is our norm. I would say even for so I'm very, very mixed. I'm South African, Khoisan, but I'm also Indian, I'm Mauritian, kind of a cocktail mix of whatever you'd like me to be on whichever given day. But even for us, it's very strange, I know, for the Indian side of my family, for you to leave the home if you're not married. And then it's also abnormal if your mother at some stage doesn't end up living with you. Or you don't make accommodations for family to just visit. We don't do the calendar booking. I'll meet you in 2 weeks' time for a coffee, mum, dad. It's kind of like whenever I thought of you, I'm here at your door. Open up.
Yeah.
Let's just hang out and let's help one another. And we don't really say it's caring. It's just that's community. That's our absolute norm, as you mentioned earlier.
Is so from support work, you opened up your own company.
Yes.
How did you make the jump? Like, and why did you make the jump?
So, wow. Yeah, fun, long story, long history. Once you stalk me on
Oh, good
LinkedIn,
ears.
you'll see what I work for, and there's some organizations I've hidden. So I was working for an organization that's very well known called Afford. And it was back in the day when Afford just had its growth spurt and we were the leaders in our industry. There was a lot of innovation. There was a lot of conversations with support workers and staff on what they wanted to do. Families and afford was synonymous with fun. And so we were having the best time with our clients and with their families and trying to assist them, to live, as everybody says now, their best lives. So I was working for them, but then I started getting headhunted by different organizations. I then worked for Barnardo's Australia in foster care and adoption, which was very interesting, kind of different, kind of an intersection. You have people with disability, but that may be in foster care with the system. And then also with my legal background, I was working with people who were coming from justice and from custody. So there were just all these intersections blended. What I found the common theme or the common cohort that I could not assist the way I wanted to was the NDIS community or the disability community. And then especially if there was an overlay with them being part of the LGBTQIA community. So no one was doing it. I'd kind of pitched it to many organizations. I'd said to them, can I run this thing? Can I open it? Can I have a division? This is like 7, 8 years ago, 9 years, ago. And many of the organizations just said, we don't believe that there is this thing. We don't think it's a real vibe or thing because you're choosing to live this so-called lifestyle, trigger word for LGBTQ folks. And so I was very much sitting here going, okay, universe, spirit, God, whatever I call it, energy, what am I doing? You've given me this idea, this concept. Am I the one that's meant to be executing this? Because no one else is. And so I had a couple of public guardians and individuals, and by divine circumstance, all go to me. Listen, if no one's building the table, I think you're kind of responsible for building one. So I did that. And now we have chosen family.
Is it cool to be one of the first?
It is always cool to be the first, but then sometimes people think the first means old. Darling, I'm young, I'm handsome, I'm sexy. I want that to be synonymous with chosen family and my name. But being the first has been exciting, but there is what I would call role model fatigue.
Yes. Yeah.
Because whether it's in DEI, whether it's in this space, whenever you're the first to do something, it's very easy for others to begin to critique you because hindsight's always amazing because now you have data. But I think it's a divine privilege that I was one of the first. Girl, don't make me cry on this podcast.
Sorry.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But I think being a leader and being able to see the change that we've done, especially with our LGBTQ cohort and especially with those foundational members who found us and we found them and we could support them, was in essence probably the thing that's still keeping me on fire today. And that's kind of what's fueling the advocacy and also fueling my perspective of the NDIS, even though I know many providers are lacking the energy and the strength to continue. I have an unlimited amount of energy and fire and passion. And I think a lot of us, dare I say, to a lot of owners and people in NDIS, even support workers, if you're feeling a certain fatigue and you want to leave or exit, or you're feeling like it's not for you, I think you need to stop, pause, and you need to reflect on those moments and capitalize on when you've assisted and helped people and individuals. And that's what's going to feed you and fuel you for the future.
All right. Now I'm nosy. I'm very, very.
Girl,
Have
do it.
you? Yeah. Have you got like from the beginning? Have you got a success story that when you've been able to support somebody that we serve?
Yes, so many.
Anyone? Now, don't you know how to use names
And
because
yeah,
there's a
no,
confidentiality. I
no,
don't want to get done on this podcast for
I'm
that.
also as a solicitor, I'm not losing my license, darling, but I would say so many. One of them in particular was someone that was transitioning. They had disclosed that to me. They came from a very strong, hyper-religious family, a family that I actually knew due to the Christian charismatic world I used to be a part of. So them disclosing this to me at a church conference in a bathroom was a very interesting place.
Yeah.
Shout out to church bathrooms and space. We made it a safe space. And so we had a wonderful conversation, eventually helped and assisted them with living independently, helped them with sourcing a granny flat. I did not do this. The great thing was they were proactive as well. They found a place they really liked. We backed them, we assisted them with the paperwork, with the legal terms, all those types of stuff. They signed. About a week later, I had a conversation with them and saw that they actually had a really good knack and strength in creativity, which I think most LGBTQIA folks are. We're very creative, French Revolution vibes. So If you look at the
Yep.
arts world, movies,
Yeah.
songs, we're just blessed with that. Anyway, helped them open up their own online shop, and also they were selling necklaces and stuff like that. But those things were so in demand in a specific country that we helped them set up like an online store, like an Etsy vibe. Straight after that, went to the banks with them to open up their first bank account, and then they bought and purchased their first vehicle because they could drive. So they got their license, which also meant that they could go to the city, and they one day met up with a friend who is now a lover. And as much as they've got the NDIS support, we did have a lot of pushback when it came to that, but I used my compliance and auditing hat as well. So just assisted them with how to frame their needs. Everyone, insurance scheme, would understand. And so they got everything they wanted and more, and they are thriving to today. And every once in a while, I'll get a photo, just a shout out saying, this is what's happening. I think there's a marriage or a wedding happening. I don't know if I'm speaking at the wedding, but yes. So that's one of the success stories that I live off and I fuel myself with.
Yeah. And that's not something that happens straight away. That this is a success story over the years. So for anyone listening, so it doesn't just happen like this. There's time and energy put into it so people can live an ordinary life.
Yes. Whatever ordinary means to whoever's asking it. Yep, definitely.
100%. So how did you get the name Chosen Families?
So, chosen family, the term was coined by the LGBTQIA community. And that was because many of us, obviously, when we come out or when we share or come in, whichever term you're using now, a lot of us get disowned by our family members or our friends, etc., or religious groups or whatever, our communities. And then we end up, becoming friends with certain people who are aligned with us. And those people become our community, but they, in essence, become our chosen family. I just thought, what a great term. And if we actually had an organization named that, it just suits and fits everything that I was wanting, to embody in essence. And so chosen family it is, and it was. And then at the same time, we have some other, like co-designing your future is something that we had actually trademarked way before NDIS had come along and said, that they were using this word called co-design. So once again, a first, just everybody for them. This is the checking thing. You're the first that trademarked that. And I'd like to think that the NDIS looked at my website and then said that word.
Yeah, that looks good.
That looks good. We'll
I
roll.
copy and paste it across.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem. We can share NDIA. Like, let's do that.
I love the name Chosen Family because it reminds me of so many times that when providing support to people that as providers we are the last stop, and a lot of people that we provide care for don't have family or access to family, and then you step into roles and we like I know we talk about boundaries and all that stuff, but there is a human side of it, and that
Yes.
empathy and compassion that we have for people. I think that comes across with the name Chosen Family.
Yeah, I think that was solidified as well. I did have a couple of experiences when I was working for a Ford. I did have a client whose family, they were estranged from their family, and all sorts of things were happening
It's
for
quite
them.
common. It's
Quite common. I
yeah.
think support workers were there then for birthdays, Christmas, Easter,
Mm.
significant days they're celebrating or they're having. And then you do, like you said, in essence, become this pseudo chosen family, and they choose to be around you, they enjoy you, you're constantly.
We enjoy them. Like I know there's like I get with the NDIS there's like a money tree thing where you are paid for service. I get that part, but gosh, some of the people that we support are freaking excellent. Like I have so much fun.
Fabulous.
Like when people talk about support work being like this like hard, yeah, it is hard. But my God, the people that I get paid to spend time with, I'd do it any day of the week.
Yes, they're fabulous. And I mean, the things that you need to do, I think innovation is one of the things that drives you and drives me. I'm quite surprised when I hear support workers say that they find it very boring and mundane, because then I'm asking you, what type of activities are you doing? Like, are you even getting to know your client? Because I have seen places, and I attribute this a lot, there's in previous interviews, I have seen Sydney and the back roads of Sydney and beaches and places because of my clients, not because of me. I would have never seen it. I was a student. I came here. I was studying law. I had limited hours of work, and I had clients wanting to go to Byron Bay and all sorts of things. And we were doing respites in interesting, fun places and locations. We were going to bars and, you know what I'm saying? Like we were going to concerts, we were watching movies. I feel what a privilege and what a blessing. And so if you as support workers, a lot of them are coming from this place of, I don't know if it's coming from a place of duty and commercialism, but I will say from the time I spend time with my clients, thank you for all the experiences. Thank you. I
Felt like I was working with a celebrity. Like, I'd be walking down the street and they'll be like, "Hi, hi," and I'm like,
It's like,
"Okay."
oh,
Like,
access
you know
points,
everybody in this
parking.
suburb.
It's literally like, where do you get good parking in Sydney? Like right at the door. Darlings, come on, we're celebrities. So with a lot of my clients, I just feel there were certain privileges, certain accessibility points. Now, obviously, it's gotten better that I would have never had that. It would have never pushed me. It was not
Mm.
in my realm of normality. And then I ended up discovering more of myself. So I fully attribute chosen family and who I am and how I advocate and how colorful and wild and non corporatized I am, even though I can be, to my clients and to them bringing me back and grounding me in that reality of being a human being.
So, with your role, you'd have to wear a lot of hats, and sometimes the further up we go, you can lose some of it, like, you can lose that interaction. How do you now continue to incorporate, because I know belonging is a
Yes.
really big part of your organization. How do you contribute? Like, how do you continue to keep that for the people around you to make sure that belonging is still the core value of the organization?
Yeah, so many ways, right? And one of them is I still do every month, I will do one support worker shift and I
Mhm.
have to do one onboarding.
Now, this is not like an undercover boss thing, is it? Like, you're wearing a wig,
No,
got a mustache, like,
no, no,
you're
no.
going as you are?
Well, listen, this face, darling, and with a name like Traidy, there's really no way to be an undercover boss. So my face is plastered everywhere. I think my marketing branding is intertwined with chosen family. So people know transparency is also another thing that I'm big on. So I have to do that because I would like to see if the system that I created still serves the clients that I'm working with in the cohort, besides the audit and all that other stuff that we do, like continuous improvement registers and plans. Sometimes the practicality does not translate or there's an impediment there.
Mm,
So when I'm doing that onboarding, I'm often asking other questions besides what I need to on paper. And I'm also watching the person's experience. We often talk about UX, UI. Those are the types of things I'm also watching. If you're wearing many hats, this is a privilege of yours. And this is something that you live and breathe. So that is one of the ways. Obviously, when you're doing a support work shift, it grounds you again. But also, a lot of the times, a lot of the clients get shocked and surprised when I call them. So they'll do the referral. I receive all referrals as well as part of the whole team. I actually give them the call, or I'll tell my team, I'm taking this one. I'll assign it to myself, and I actually call the person immediately to say, hi, thank you so much for giving us the privilege of seeing if we can assist and help you. Doesn't mean that we're going to get the business, doesn't mean that we've got the referral locked in. Let's see if this works out. This is how we work. How do you work? What would you like? And most of the times, clients are quite surprised. They're like, but I've seen you, I've researched you.
yeah,
And I'm like, yeah, well, you're talking to me now. So I don't know if you have a chicken schnitty there. Eat the chicken schnitty and talk to me, or dip your Tim Tam. Don't forget to dip it out, or else it's going to fall in your coffee. And let's have a yarn. While we're doing that, I'm doing the referral form and I'm starting to gauge who they are. And I'm trying to source support workers in my mind of who's appropriate. I think that is one way that you need to, if you're a boss, it doesn't
yeah.
matter how commercial, how large your org. If you want to know what's happening, that client parties are another thing, and barbecues, all those other things
Mm.
that I actually think do the work that you're asking your staff to do, and you'll see if there are rooms of improvement.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if I can ask this, and if not, I might edit it out later.
Most welcome.
But
Yeah.
is this like an ADHD thing? Because you
Yes.
can read people really well, yeah?
Yes.
And systems and processes as well. Is that something like that's just your personality that you can foresee the future in that sense?
Yes. So, okay, two things. First of all, yes, we're allowed to talk about my ADHD diagnosis. Very proud, very loud about that. I was diagnosed late in life. Also, interesting fact. I was diagnosed only a couple of years ago while I was in Australia. So, fun fact for everybody, it can happen to you too. I don't know if we want to delve into how I got diagnosed. I can share that story another time because it's very fun and interesting. But yes, it's the ADHD. Secondly, when you come from the background that I did, where there is a lot of trauma, especially with the system of apartheid in South Africa, growing up in a family that I grew up in where we were always risk aware. South Africa's culture, just the environment itself, you become hypersensitive and aware of things as well. So I'm always doing a risk assessment 24/7. Can't turn that off, even on holiday. And then also doing work with humanity, let's just say this. I know how complex it is. So systems can only do so much. And then there's always a part of me or sliver of myself, my personality that's going, what has systems not captured yet? And that's what that's the world I delve into. Also, I have my own consulting business called Traidy Consult. And so what that does is I help a lot of other organizations. We're not just in NDIS, but there's like 12 services there. And one of them often is I go in to study behavior and notice the things that people won't share on a complaint form.
Yeah.
And then I kind of share that with organizations and then help them to fix those gaps and those issues. So I hope I answered your
No,
question.
no, I think I could, like, I'm dyslexic family, and I can tell you right now, I get more from body language sometimes than written. Yeah, and you just can't help it. I can't turn it off.
Which
And
is great because it means you're perceptive, it means you're discerning. Also, I'm a very spiritual person. So I often get visions and see things, and I probably shouldn't say that on an NDIS thing before I get diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. But anyway, power to us. If I do have that, great. I think I can see it as a strength.
'cause there is a strength in it because it's a people game.
Yes, I think, and also coming from Africa, very spiritual family, very
Mm,
rooted in spiritualism in
mm.
general. And there are some things that we can't explain to this day, that data cannot explain. You can put me in a room and I will do things, say things, perceive things that I know my eyes, my mind, even all of my skills. That's not it. There's another energy, something working in that moment and in that time.
I was always good at connecting people, like support workers with NDIS participants, and I think it was because of the time that I spent, and then listening and just looking for those that like, it's body language, and we know what hits and what doesn't. It is a superpower. Not everyone can do it, and
Yeah.
yeah, kudos to us.
Plugging Swifty matched, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So you've worked across law, advocacy, family violence, disability. Do you think it has definitely been the core of shaping chosen families?
The core of shaping chosen family, I would say, is the framework of Ubuntu. And for those who aren't accustomed to the framework, it is an African philosophy, and it means I am because you are, in essence, in English terms. English is so limiting at times, but it talks about relational interconnectedness. So if I bless you, if I water you, if I take care of you, I'm actually doing that for myself. And so it's just this universal principle of we rise together when all of us succeed and all of us are involved. And that has been the core, I would say, success factor. And then also capitalizing on the gaps in sector and its deficiencies. So I actually thank the system that the sector and the system is deficient and that it needs someone like me to come in and challenge it and bring something fresh and a different perspective.
I love what you said about rising. Like you rise, we all rise together. And I feel like sometimes especially now at the moment, because it feels a bit like a pressure cooker, a lot of people keep things in house without networking and exploring and, putting out opportunities for the people that we serve. Can you go a bit more deeper in how you can support others rise? I know you talk about you do some consulting work. Is there any other mentoring stuff that you do as well on top of that?
Yeah, so a free thing that I tend to do is if an organization contacts me and says, I have an LGBTQIA client, that client doesn't need to come to me because we don't only service the LGBTQ community, we have a division of that. And then we have, the rest of the population that we actually service. So what I'll often do is because organizations, they don't have the literacy when it comes to inclusion and you have to work
Yeah.
at inclusion.
Mhm.
It's a constant learning thing. You're never going to rise to a place where, you think that you're perfect. I get it wrong. Sometimes I'm very ableist in my language. Sometimes I'm not even thinking and I may use the wrong pronouns and I may actually offend someone. So if someone like me that focuses on DEI, has the framework there, is constantly pushing for change, can get it wrong or cannot be so aware or so open and has to challenge their bias 24/7 and gain that mental flexibility, we offer that as well. So if someone contacts me and says that, I'm more than happy to give them information, resources. We try to do that with a lot of our stuff on our website. Our website has probably too much information. And at some stage, I'll be drafting some more blogs on some practical tools people can use, for different parts of our community. And then I think also just networking and getting out there and rubbing shoulders with those that you may not like. You may have a perceived bias or a bias that you're not aware of. I think that's probably one of the best ways for you to actually see and investigate and ask yourself, why do I have this hesitation and resistance towards this person or that group? It might be a me thing. It's not actually a them thing. What could I learn from them? It's the whole Dr. Gabor Mate compassionate inquiry of looking inside and really starting to research what's going inside of you.
Yep. I love how you're saying to continuing to learn because we do get it wrong. I get it wrong too. I have podcasts about support workers and sometimes I get the language wrong. At the beginning of this podcast, sorry guys, I hadn't filmed this part, but I asked you how to say your name because I'm dyslexic as hell, yeah. So it's being comfortable to ask questions of people really and to edit and change the way that you do things moving forward because you got the information. A lot of people were willing to give you the information if you just ask, really.
Yeah, so as much as I'm super educated, and there's qualifications that I will never share because sometimes that can also be an impediment. I don't
Yeah.
like people headline me too much because it gives people a perception that I'm higher than them, or because I'm
Yeah.
educated, I can't speak to the common man or the ordinary man. And so often the whole undercover boss stuff, like we were talking about, I prefer most people don't know that side of me. So when they see me as well, I'm, most of the times coming in, having a yarn and having a conversation, as you're saying. So I approach any conversation, whether it's hiring somebody, whether it's giving instructions to the rest of my team, I approach it from, dare I say, the ground up or from being very inquisitive. Tell me more. Why would you perceive that? What's your definition of that? And I think that can be much more helpful than sometimes what we're doing when we're under pressure. Because when we're under pressure, we're wanting very quick linear answers. But when you're in human services, no person is linear, no person is binary. There is much more to us. There's much more complexity as well.
Yeah. Now, you guys do a lot of things, right? So bear with me.
Take your
You
time.
do
Right?
one-to-one supports.
Yes.
You do SEALs. Yes. Do you do groups?
No.
No. What am I missing?
So LGBTQ training,
Yeah.
LGBTQ support workers, we do SDA in the sense of we don't do it, but we do have partnerships with SDA facilities. Obviously, we do the SIL then. At this stage, we have another thing called accommodation options because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have SIL in their plan, or if they do, they have 1 to 3 and they want to live alone. So we help you with sourcing your own granny flat or your own place and accommodation. And then we'll just do drop-in supports for you. But everything's in your name. So even if you don't like us and you want to boot us, you can, which is something I think more providers should do. Hint,
Be
hint.
comfortable with it. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
also it's great for you to have a rental history. Being a lawyer, I've seen a lot of people when we talk about houselessness or not homelessness, houselessness. I think that is something we need to focus on a bit more. And I think with the new reforms, from what I saw, even with SIL, there are strong provisions in there that we need to have two separate agreements, your service agreement and then a tenancy agreement. And at any stage, if a client decides they want to terminate or cancel your service, they can continue the tenancy agreement, which is a fabulous provision to protect. So for those of you that don't know, that's actually been implemented. So yay. What other services we have? We have respite, just depending, respite your way is what I call it. And you can go on our website to see that. And so we're in New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, and WA. Shout out to Nat Carter, who's our Queensland rep. and growth manager, an extraordinaire as well. So we do have a support worker directory. I know we spoke about Swiftly Match. We have something kind of similar, but it's more just we have a lot of support workers. We have a lot of people that want to work for us. And so I saw that as a bit of an issue. We have the opposite to everybody else, which is they probably have more referrals. We have more support staff, people who want to work with us, and not enough work. And so then we created a support worker directory. And at any time, you can email yourself the profiles, your family members, the guardians. So ultimately, they decide what they want and who they want.
I love that. I'm all for that. yeah, yeah.
Love
Yeah,
AI.
I
It's
do,
letting
but
people
how do
know.
like, I take it that you've got some really good systems and frameworks around this, or else you wouldn't be able to manage how big it is because, it's a lot, like, to be fair, and I did see on the website that you're very available for it, yeah? Like, and it is
Yes.
a lot, so I know that you like to keep your finger on the pulse and stuff like that, but how do you oversee such a big company?
Thank you. So the org's not even really that huge. I think the footprint and the
Yeah.
impact is far greater than numbers, and that's how I measure it. So I, I also need to ask people, when someone says your organization's big, I'm like, what is big to you? Because what is big to you?
Yeah, true.
Different states, you talk to different people. They're like, I have 1,000 clients. I'm like, wow, amazing. Your tax and Super Bowl must be crazy. So, and then I think of mine, which is just high impact.
Yeah.
So what I would say to that is I love systems. I love AI. I love technology. I believe it's your friend. And so to anyone who's resistant, contact me, talk to me. Traidy Consult's ready for you to help you. But at the same time, I also think it's time to embrace it and to use it accordingly to provide extra care for our clients. There's so many ways that you can use AI just to wrap around and to make your service even a bit more personable. And that's how I'm doing this and managing and facilitating being in different capacities because I also run other things. There's other parts of my life. Shout out, I'll just share it here because we're here anyway. I'm also a musician and a singer, so a songwriter, and I'm releasing my album this year very, very soon. And I've already recorded probably about 3 or 4 of my albums in advance. So only way I could do that was because of technology and because we
Yeah.
can have people around the world working on the same system. And I have offshore teams as well. So shout out to everybody that utilizes people, VAs and stuff like that. I don't think we give them enough props. So thank you to my team as well. I just need to say thank you to those in the Philippines.
Is that so all this years helped you being able to scale your business to where it is today?
It's been able to give me more time
Yep.
and to place my time in a certain bucket in an area that I deem needs it. Family's big. I'm married. I've got 2 little doggies. And so sometimes also just with demands of having family overseas. I'm sure you have many support workers and people that listen to this or watch this that have families overseas. We call it the black tax, where you often have to pay for things in your family and you're the breadwinner, so your money is not even your own. Balancing visa costs, all those types of things, and then also sending money home to family to assist and help. That's a consideration a lot of people don't think of or talk about. And so, what those frameworks have done, all those ops things and tech has done is helped me sit there and go, okay, I need X amount of hours to facilitate payments for family. I need X amount of time and people and coverage and business development to maintain relationships here so that I can get these referrals. So it actually helps me just apportion
Yeah.
where I need to be and where my energy, time, and spirit needs to be and the focus needs to be.
So if you had a crystal ball, what does chosen families look like in 5 years from now?
So chosen family in 5 years from now will, because everything's already set in place, even if I pass away. And so there's detailed will and plan and
Yeah.
session plan that I've put in place with passwords. So shout out to anyone who doesn't have a succession plan. Now's the time, put it in place. Chosen Family will have its own community center. It will offer these services. It will also very, very soon be opening its not-for-profit arm, where Chosen Family will fall under. And then it will also have a corporate arm to it, which will be and will have other services. So it will have its own restaurant, its own business center. There's a couple of other things that I cannot mention, obviously, because people are probably going to take my ideas that Chosen Family will be
Yeah.
doing. which has happened all the time before. So in 5 years' time, Chosen Family is going to be a household name in Australia. And it's going to be doing much more than NDIS because it already is. It's just we don't share all the other, things that we're currently doing.
What are you most proud of as a CEO and a founder of your company?
What I'm most proud of is that other organizations have finally listened and started to adopt some of the policies and some of the frameworks that I've introduced. And that is something I think resistance from the commercial corporate world to get buy-in for any sort of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility is always difficult because they only want to see the profit side of it, even though there's a great business case for it. But what I'm now starting to see is I'm starting to get a lot of directors, organizations that are large, that are very well known in Australia outside of healthcare, contacting me and saying, hey, just want to let you know we use your frameworks, we stalk you on a regular basis. And I'm like, that makes sense because my LinkedIn always tells me how many views I have. But I have people downloading podcasts and creating actual HR frameworks, training frameworks off my podcasts and interviews, which to me is fabulous. So I'm grateful that the work will continue, which means it will live on. It might be in another organization and have another title, but in essence, what Spirit or the Divine has given me is now living and breathing, and people are using it and building on it. And that's what I'm most proud of.
What an impact. Yeah. Well done. Yeah. Um, for anyone looking to connect with you, what's the best way to connect with you?
God, I'm on every single platform,
Oh, am
darling.
I? So tell me.
Gosh, every platform except Grindr, friends. Used to be jokes. Okay, some will get it, so that's all I need. I need them to get it. At one stage, I was even on Bumble Business, just to connect with other business owners. As there we go, there's my dogs. I was connecting with people there as well, other like-minded people, trying to help them and assist them as well. So, okay, LinkedIn, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, Linktree, I'm going to say this wrong. Substack.
Substack, yeah. And is it all under Chosen Family or is it under your name?
Gosh, both,
Both.
and Traidy Consult as well. Like, there's so much. There's YouTube. Like, I
You're
think
everywhere.
me on every, you'll find a little bit of me. Just pop on Google, type in my name, whatever you're wanting specifically. Obviously, if it's NDIS stuff, Chosen Families, one of the main places. Traidy Consults, all the other stuff with NDIS stuff. It's just a mixed bag because I'm a multi-hyphenate and I can't help but mix and match. I could never color in the lines, everybody. I'm so sorry as a child.
What do they call? I think it's multi-passionate.
Yeah, multi-passionate, but also like I think we're also multifaceted. Something I find really limiting, even in NDIS, when I'm speaking to other directors, they're like, "You're Traidy from Chosen Family," and that's kind of like full stop. And I'm like, "No, comma. I've got many other things I do. I'm a trainer and assessor. I do motivational speaking. I speak in churches and help churches who are struggling to become inclusive and get on board. Like I'm doing things that your typical, I don't know, NDIS person isn't doing. And it's not out of the norm when I meet other business owners and multi-hyphenates that they have like 6, 7 businesses in 6, 7 different areas and fields. So not limited to one thing.
What I will do for anyone listening to this podcast is I'll put all the details in the description so they can find you. Thank you so much for podcasting with me. It's
It was
good to
such
finally meet you.
Yes, thank you. Before you leave, I know you want to end this podcast. I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you right back. What are you most proud of?
Far out. Okay. As a support worker, I am most proud of would be the amount of people that I had supported to be independent in their community. I did a lot of travel training in my time. So from getting from A to B, and one of the stories that I loved the most was there was this guy that I had that never could get onto a train, and then like I did the process of supporting him to get onto the train, get the Mikey to get to stations and all that stuff. And by the time that my career had went up, he was taking people to the city. They're going to bars. They're doing like all the fun stuff. So I did I crawled so
Yeah.
he could run literally because he now lives a life that's quite independent. And I'm like, that story is one of many stories of people that I've been able to assist to be independent and that I'm the most proud of.
Oh, amazing. Because you're continuing to kind of do that. I see a parallel with this podcast as well, by the way. So
Thank you.
you're starting conversations, you're giving people access once again as well to others that they may not see or have a coffee with face to face, but you're actually doing the same thing. So I think you're still doing some travel training, darling. You're still doing it.
Just it looks a little bit different these
It's
days.
a little different
Yeah.
on a different platform.
Thank
So
you for
thank
asking that. I never get that one.
you.
Alright. Thanks, guys.